Hari Om, Dirghayushman Bhava. So today I shall go to a new topic which is called NPA, non-performing assets, bad debts in our economy. Is not a complete write-off in English. So I'm starting like this. Nowadays we find in newspapers, in televisions, a big exposure on the non-performing assets of the present government, and it runs to 10 lakh crores. 10 lakh crores is about 125 billion US dollars at 80 rupees a dollar. A billion is 100 crores and 1000 billion is 1 trillion. Okay, 10 lakh crores is a huge amount, 125 billion dollars is a huge amount. But my question is, let us wait and pause for a minute and analyze. Now I shall analyze this subject in one, the psychological aspect of an entrepreneur, and two, the economics part of it, both micro and macro. Now the psychological part, any businessman who starts and borrows money from his business would not like his business to die. Nobody wants to divorce his wife or her husband when they marry. I mean, that's not the intention at all. Every businessman would try to put in the best efforts, because through business he can grow in all fields. In all fields means what? As Maslow's hierarchy of needs say, right from your physiological needs to your safety, security needs, to your love and love relationship, to your self-esteem, to your self-actualization finally. Every businessman psychologically would not like to business to go down, and he would not try to cheat unless it is a terrorist of 1 in probably a billion or so. We do not know. We are not taking them into account. Therefore, the Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs is always there in any society. Why Maslow? What did our Vedas say in Taittiriya Upanishad some 7,000-8,000 years back? Bhrigu chapter 3, the Brahma Jigyasa, they say desire to learn about Brahma between Varuna and his Shishya, disciple Bhrigu Muni. First he starts with Annam Brahme Divyajanat Annadhyaiva Kalvimani Bhutani Jayante Anne Najatani Jivanti Annam Prayansa Abhivishanti Tatu Vigyaya. That is first Annam. Then he comes to Prano Brahme Divyajanat Pranadhyaiva Kalvimani Bhutani Jayante Prane Najatani Jivanti Pranam Prayansa Prayatya Abhivishanti Tatu Vigyaya. Then after prana he comes to Mano Brahme Divyajanat Manasadhyai Vagal Vimani Bhutani Jayante Manase Najatani Jivanti Manam Prayansa Abhivishanti Tata Vigyaya. Then finally Anandam Brahme Divyajanat Anandhadhyai Vagal Vimani Bhutani Jayante Ane Najatani Jivanti Anam Prayantya Abhivishanti Tata Vigyaya. What does it mean? First you take Annam, all are same. The first one is, suppose you take the first Panjadi, he says, it's called Panchakosha Antaha. It says, Annam Brahma iti Vyajanat. Vyajanat, from the understanding that Annam is the Brahma, Annadveva Imani Bhutani Jayante. All these Imani, these Bhutani, living beings, Jayante, Annena Jatani Jivanti. By Anna only all the living beings, Jatani Jivanti, they live. Then what he says, very important, Annam Prayantya Abhivishanti iti. So finally they dissolved to Annam only. Similarly, last para, then Annam, then he talks of Pranam, then he talks of Mano, mind, strong mind, then he talks of Vijnanam Brahme Divyajanat Vijnane Vagal, the fourth one. Then the fifth one is Anando Brahme, then finally self-actualization, Ananda only, bliss only, having achieved all these things. Hierarchy of needs are there. That's what beautifully Varuna tells to Bhrigu Muni, his Shishya. That means all beings psychologically, we are all interested in our self-actualization. We don't want our business to, any businessman for example, I had been a businessman and I had been trained in the capital markets in my MBA and in my master's degrees in commerce, in accounting and all. So I found that this hype created by this bad debts is too much of it. Much ado about nothing, as Shakespeare said. Let me prove. Therefore, first of all, the fundamental thing is, the nation should understand that any businessman would not like his business to die. He would go to the self-actualization. That means name, fame, money. That's what he would try. And that he can achieve only through business. Mostly for a businessman. They do not want to just cheat the bank and borrow and run away tomorrow. That is maybe terrorists. I'm not bringing them into the fold. Now come to what is known as the economic point, micro and macro. Okay, let us take off micro. Micro means, I am putting a very clear example. Let us take Kingfisher Airlines. It went bust. Now the promoter, whose promoter, already a rich man, and if you analyze how much of, before the unit goes defunct, how much of salaries you would have paid, how much of sales tax you would have paid, how much of by salaries, when an employee receives salaries, he also gets training in aircraft industry. Is it not? When he gets training, if this company doesn't function, he can go to some other company and his skill is applied there. So the economy doesn't lose. Otherwise, the government has to spend a lot of money in putting such training institutes and training people. So his money is not lost. The nation's money is not lost. It's a shift from the left to the right, from the employer to the employee. That is one issue. How many sales tax you would have paid? Then you would have paid up to a certain point. Interest also, debits has been there accrued. Is it not? And also take his other flourishing industries like United Spirits and all, more than 10,000 crores every year. I could see from the balance sheet he was paying excise, because entire sales is excise. If you take a period of 10 years, that company has been existing for 40-50 years, that United Spirits been existing for 10 years, would have paid more than nearly 1 lakh crore to the government. And his NPA, they say, is 9,000, 10,000 crores, out of which 8,000 has been already paid. Maybe a shortfall is there with banking system of interest application, 3.25, 2.5 penalty, 2% extra and all. Even without, if you just take it out, even this amount would have been paid. That means there was no intention, deliberate intention of robbing the banks and going away. Because these entrepreneurs are all well-established entrepreneurs who can enjoy the same standard of living even without starting Kingfisher Airlines. It's a broad understanding. Likewise, many industries, they don't want to cheat. Nobody is interested in cheating. The point is, if the cost of production is more than the market, what the market would pay, then probably they will have to incur losses and losses and losses. They keep trying on running their business, trying on jogging so that some daylight would be seen. But the structure of the business or the efficiency of running their business has come down. Other people are there to be more efficient, or some technological changes are there. Just I told you that Kodak camera, the film is entirely gone. Everybody is using mobile phones to take photographs or electric chips, or that's the order of the day. Even the disc, CDs, compact disc, all gone. See, when such comes here, then compulsorily that business has to shut. But one thing, the chip came because CD was existing before. The CDs, whatever it is, they gave rise to the technology of a chip. Is it not? So it's a stepping stone. You step on the head and then you go to the higher floor. The man whom you step probably falls down due to the weight. I don't say no. But the other man goes up on stepping on his head. So this fellow who fell down was essentially a vital platform for the another fellow to go up. That is how the economics works. So how do you say that the efforts put in by the man who fell down because his business was poor, that it is an NPA to me, and then cry, shout, penalize him? You try to recover in the normal legal way, but that isn't, what I am saying is, for the economy it is not a write-off. The fallen fellow would have paid excise, would have paid some sales tax, would have trained his employees, would have paid salaries, would have paid accounting charges, would have kept the economic activity running, and through the goods, by his goods, people were benefiting. People were benefiting, though his cost of production is high and he has to incur loss. The fellow, the buyer, was making profit because he got goods at a lower price. One man's meat is another man's poison, is it not? So this is an example I gave. This is an example for big companies which go default because nobody would intentionally try to bury their company. But what's the point? Why did they start? It's not essentially under normal circumstances, any normal man with normal psychology would not, 100% I am sure, would not try to cheat the banks and don't get his business thereby cheated. So the intentional default will not be there. All this diversion of funds and all, which they say that agency found, this agency found, on that stage, if some other alternative opportunities come that would even save this business, he would have diverted the funds, not to defraud somebody through legal to conform as much as possible to legal requirements. But I'm not otherwise saying that what the business, they should try to pay the bank to the fullest possible. That is there. But the banks or other public should not have a notion that these businesses are trying to cheat. All these fellows have cheated. How many excise duty they would have paid, how many sales tax they would have paid, how many people they would have trained. That was not their intention. Already they were enjoying a high standard of living. These new businesses are not required for them to stay put on their own standard of living as they were enjoying before. See, these points are all microeconomic points. That even if a business fails, consider how much you would have given to the society through salaries, through interest to the banks, through excise duties, through sales tax. And later on for 3, 4, 5 years, you would not have the capacity, the wherewithal, the means to pay. That doesn't mean he's a cheat. He has to also survive in this world. He must have taken some extra expenses. See, these things cannot be avoided. But that is not the main criteria. Now come to the macro level, it will be more interesting. And you will find more interesting. How much is the bad debts? NPA, this year they said 10 lakh crores. Okay, 125. I am taking the 5-year authentic figure, which I got from several websites. Now, if you take the 5-year authentic figure, they say the bad debts in 2070 was, they say in trillion rupees, but I will convert it into US dollars. So 0.94 trillion is 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. So 1 billion is 100 crores. Now I will give the trillion and then I will convert into US dollars so that easy, because trillion is too big a number. So in 2017 it was 0.94. In 2018 it was 8.96 trillion rupees. In 2019 it is 7.4 trillion. In 2020 it's 6.78. 2021 recently a figure is available is 6.17. All put together is about 280. It comes to 235 trillion rupees. Now I want to convert it into US dollars. 1,000 trillion is 1 billion. So let us first, instead of saying 23 trillion rupees, I am going to say 23,000 billion rupees. Then convert divided by 80. So if you do that exercise, what you would get is about 200 and in US dollars, it's about 295 billion US dollars is the bad debts for the last 5 years. Okay, it is 295 billion dollars. Okay, it's a huge amount. I'm not saying no. In 80 rupees, 295 US billion dollars for the last 5 years, 2017 to 2021, 17, 18, 19, 20 and 21. I don't have the figure for 22. Now come to what is our GDP? That is a very important factor for the last 5 years. Corresponding, respective last 5 years. In 2017 it is $2,651 billion or 2.6 trillion. Again, I am taking into billion. So, and 18 it is 2,702 billion US dollars. In 2019, it is 2,831 billion US dollars. In 2020, it is 2,667 US billion dollars. In 2021, it is 3,176 US billion dollars. So 3,176, they will say 3.17 US trillion dollars. For example, therefore, if I total it, it becomes 14,027 US billion dollars or 14.3 trillion dollars in 5 years, all put together. In 5 years, all put together, our GDP. If you take America, in 1 year itself, their GDP is 21 trillion. China, in 1 year itself, their GDP is 16 trillion. In India, 1 year it will be 3.17, the latest we have, 2021 figure. So India is about 5.5 times less than China and about 7 times less than USA. Now that's okay, that's a broad area. So in the last 5 years, your GDP all put together in US dollars is 14027. That is 14,027 billion US dollars. And your GDP 5 years put together is 295 billion. So 295 billion on 14,027 billion is 0.2%. You take 2%, okay. 295, if you take a calculator and divide it by 14027, you get 0.2%. Sir, for an economy to grow, for a technology to grow, for business to grow, for products to multiply, for services to be rendered, if certain small portions of the economy are not prepared to pay 0.2%, which is their brokerage, to have a GDP of 14,027 USD billion dollars. Sir, we are ordinary for real estate. If you buy and sell, you pay 1% brokerage. Without that help, you can't sell. For any service charges, even on computer, you pay convenience fee. You work out, that will be 0.2% everywhere. When we have to pay brokerage, service charges, even if your own attender goes and brings some coffee or something, you give him a tips sometimes. Everywhere brokerage is involved, which is free of brokerage. For auditor, you pay auditor's fees. For employees, you pay salaries. For doctors, you pay fees. For advocates, you have to pay fees. For entry ticket to a cinema theater, you have to pay fees. Where anything is free, only with some certain spiritual organizations where you may get a free food. Even then, you have to go there, you have to spend your time, that costs you money. Nothing is free, no free lunch. So on 14,027 USD billion dollars, which it has given us in 5 years, value of goods and services provided by the economy at a particular point of time, say 5 years put together. What is GDP? Is gross domestic product. And what is GNP? Is gross national product, which includes imports also. So whatever it is, I'm not going too much into economics, but here on 14,027 you spend 295. Let us assume you spend 295. 0.2%. Is it not required? Is it not genuine? Why crib about? And even I got a statistics which says in the last 5 years they have recovered 6,59,000. Almost about 95, 80, 60, 70 billion dollars at a rate of 90 billion dollars they have recovered. And written off is about they have written off some amount. From that they have got 1.32 lakh crores. 6,59,000 to 596 crores, which is about say 80 billion US dollars they have recovered. And they have recovered another 12 billion dollars. It is about 16 billion, 15, 12, about 12 billion dollars they have recovered from the written off, not the NPA, but written off. Gaya, paisa to gaya, nahi milega. Future में नहीं मिलेगा, संपूर्ण रीत्या गया, नुकसान हुआ था. From that they got, from the dead man they got some life. See, that calculations are all I'm not bringing. I'm just saying you have lost 295. You have paid a fees for generating a GDP in the last 5 years, $14 trillion or 14,027 billion dollars. Is my calculation right or wrong? Then why you crib about these NPAs? If you don't put this money, if you don't feed the dog, then how it will save you security? If you don't feed your people, then how they are going to come? They are all within your own people. Find out whether deliberate cheating is there. That is not, but that I don't think is very, very rare. That institutional governmental agencies are there. They can go, they can find out. That have to be punished as per law of the land. But simply cribbing about, talking too much, always hype. You are not saying that your GDP is increasing. So much of GDP is increasing. Value of goods, we are already moved in the 5th place at the international level. It's all right, but you have to sacrifice this type of a GDP, this type of a NPA. NPA you have to configure in your calculations. It's not going to hurt. 0.2% is not going to hurt anybody. Or even if you take 2%, it's not going to hurt anybody. Because you are generating, and when you generate goods and services, the standard of living of the people are increasing. And if one man is failing, some other man comes and buys. At least something is recovered. Okay, sir, with that, my conclusion is, let there not be too much of a hype on an NPA. It is normal. We have to keep that on the other side and try to encourage the entrepreneurs and try to take risk in the economy. Genuine risk, not cheating risk. People who cheat, you can easily find out. For that, mechanisms are there. On that, you stress and give loans to deserving people, talented people. Assess the fixed assets, like John Maynard Keynes says, go away from gold standard. A nation prints its currency based on the gold reserves it has. Then he says, you need not have gold reserves. It is your ability to produce goods and services. People, foreigners will come, or international people will come and buy those goods and services instead of buying gold from you against your rupee or against your dollar. That's why US and all, they don't have dollar gold reserves at all, but their currency demands, because they have high technology and high production inside the economy. $21 trillion, whereas we have only $3.5 trillion last year, 22. Therefore, with this I end my lecture. So NPA is not a criteria, but the lending pattern is a criteria. The amount of thoughts that can go into it and the amount of risk bankers are prepared to take, they have to encourage entrepreneurs. And we know who is a thief and who is a genuine entrepreneur. That difference a banker can make psychologically. With this I sign off. Hari Om. Thank you all.